Hi everyone, it's Keren here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new tutorial with all the brand new Finnabair release that I just received. As an ambassador, I get to work with her products, and you know how much I love mixed media, so this is a great opportunity to show you how to use some of her products. Now, I'm going to go through all of them first, and then you have the opportunity to buy the ones that you feel will be most suitable for you. Starting with the top here, I have all the new matte waxes. They are antiquing kind of creams, and they come in 6 different colors. The charcoal black, the rusty red, the old white, patina blue, patina green, and rusty brown. And all of them can give you that really nice patina effect or that antiquing effect you see in furniture and old things. She also came out with 2 different art journal books. One of them is a 5x8, and it has thick white pages, mixed media style pages that are pretty thick and are perfect for creating art journaling pages. And then we have the 5.5 by 5.5, which is craft paper. So it would give you a different effect in the background, and it's also pretty thick. There's also 2 styles of tissue paper. You can see like the picture here. I mean, these are very big. They're 27 by almost 28 by 20 inches. So it's a very big sheet that you can cut, and there's 6 of them in each one. So it's really great. And there's the other one that has other designs. This one is called Romantica, and this one is called Secret Notes. And the last thing that she came out with, that I've already shown in a different video, are stencils. And let me show you all of them again. There is this one, which is called Vintage Wallpaper. The Dandelions, which I love. This one is beautiful. The Floral Net, it's so nice as well. Then there is the Gothic Writing, the Laurels, Mind Games, Oriental Wall, and Read My Letter, which is like a beautiful script writing. So this is her release for January 2020. I'm going to create an art journal page with some of these products just to show you how versatile they are. So let's get started. Okay, so I took the Secret Notes tissue paper out of the packaging so I could use it on this page. I'm going to decorate this first page. I was debating whether or not to create a double page or not, like to go on this side, but I'm not really, I don't know. I kind of think I want to do just with a 1 page because it will be quicker, and I wanted to do this a quicker version of this. So this is such a large paper, it's so hard to kind of see. It has beautiful script and some really nice vintage flowers and the vintage images. I originally thought I would want to use some of these like faces. Somehow I have a hard time with faces, especially the vintage faces. I don't know if it is the look that they give me. They're always like kind of blank stares. They're not smiling, so it always like makes me kind of think, do I want that staring into me when I open my art journal? So I'm gonna go with the safe way and use this. This is the image that I like the most, the one with the flowers and the script, because I want to make something vintage, but also I want to kind of have the script. So I thought this would be a good idea. So I'm going to basically cut around this just to glue it plain and simple on the paper. Now, as you can see here, I have this lined up. I have this inside the ring, so I'm going to basically line this up over here. I could remove the page, but then that means that I have to then hole punch every single one. So I don't mind if it has it like this. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use a little bit of the wax to just kind of mix it all up so you can see that border. But that's going to be done later. So let's cut this first. So it doesn't have to be exact or accurate. I'm just going to cut it. I cut it a little bit bigger just because I wasn't sure if I'll need all of this or not. I'm going to use some soft matte gel to glue it. Just very simple to do. I'm going to put a very thin layer. I'm going to have to do quite a thin layer because I don't want it to become a blob everywhere. And I'm using my silicone brush. You could also use a paintbrush. I just don't want to ruin any more paintbrushes. I think I've ruined most of my paintbrushes by using gel. I'm just going to smooth it out And then I'm going to do it here. Does it matter if it wrinkles? No, it just adds texture. And I do prefer sometimes the wrinkles. The wrinkles add to that vintage texture because it makes it look old looking. So just make sure you get the corners. And then what I'm going to do is with the leftover, I'm just going to seal. And I've talked about this before. It's really important to seal any type of paper, tissue paper, regular paper, anything you do on this journal or any type of art, you need to seal it with some gel medium. It could be any type of gel medium, but I just find the soft one works the best because you want to make sure that it doesn't get ruined when you add other things on top of it, even if it's just a wax. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this up and then cut around it. So once I cut, I have to check all the corners, but I'm going to dry it first. Okay, so I cut around it after I dried. Some of it ripped, and that's okay because I love it. It kind of looks like it's, you know, torn and vintage, and that's okay with me. I just want to go around the edges to kind of make sure that all the edges are glued because otherwise they will lift up when I'm adding other products. So just always make sure you check the edges. Those are the ones that will probably lift themselves first. If you don't want to cut around, you can always fold behind or actually fold towards you, and just going to dry a little bit again. Okay, so now getting to the second step, which is the texture and a little bit of a stencil texture. So there's so many to choose from, and I truly didn't know which one I want to use. I'm going to just kind of pick randomly. I'm looking to see which one would be a good one to choose from. And I already have some script, so I don't want to use the script one. And this is something you can do. Just take the stencil and kind of see how it would look. I think this one would look good. Let's see what else there is. I think this one is too busy. The reason why I picked this one, and this is like something that I'll talk about because this is already very busy. I want to kind of pick some pieces out of this, but make the rest of it kind of leave like the tissue paper to kind of stand out behind it. Now, there's different options that you can do. And I'm going to use this stencil with some texture paste or some modeling paste, but you can easily use it with these as well. So I've already shown, I think I've shown a video, and if not, I will just show you quickly on the side how you can use these waxes with the stencils as well. But I actually want to use the stencil with a specific 3D medium. That way it really will add that texture that I love. So that's what I'm going to do. My favorite texture is usually paper texture paste. So that's something that I want to add with this one. You can also add modeling paste or basically any type of texture. So I'm going to add I'm going to take my silicone brush again. This palette is amazing because you can really get through the different areas of the stencil. And as I said, I'm just going to basically add it in certain areas. I don't want to add it in too many places because otherwise it will take away from the design. But for example, I was kind of trying to cover that Baltimore sign. Don't know why it says Baltimore, but it's no interest for me to have it saying Baltimore there. So I'm trying to add a little bit here, but I don't want it to ruin the design. So I'm holding it up. If you don't want to hold it up because you're worried you will ruin the page, just go ahead and dry it up first. Just don't care if if it doesn't come out perfect. So that's something I always say in my projects. Perfection is underrated. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to look how you like it. So I kind of went in between here to kind of leave those flowers because I really wanted those flowers to stand out of it. And then to create that really good composition triangle, because there would be a triangle here, then the third piece of texture should go right here. So that's really good for composition. It doesn't mean that you have to do it this way, but if you know the rule of thirds in terms of creating that triangle, It's really important to do. So as you can see, you can still see the beautiful design behind it, but I have more texture. Now I'm going to dry this one, clean my stencil, because it's really important to get the texture paste out of that stencil. Otherwise it will dry up thick. And then I'm going to do the next step. Okay, now that it's all dried up, I'm going to be adding the wax. And this is, as I said, it's the new matte wax from Finnabair. And I showed you all the colors, but today I'm going to create a more vintage project. So I kind of want to go with the rusty ones and some of the patina ones. I will definitely show you something else with these other ones that I love as well, but I really want to show you some of these vintage ones first. So in order to color this, I want to add a little bit of the red, brown, and also the patina color. And these are very, very soft. So you want to make sure that you're dabbing it a little bit on a piece of paper or on your mat, just because otherwise you're going to get a lot of it like bunched up everywhere. Now if you do want that thickness, and I will show you, you want it darker, you can definitely add more of it. So you can see that I'm putting this here. Now I'm going to put this underneath because I just saw it's kind of staining the other papers. So I'm just going to kind of work at the edges. And you can see that it's covering the beautiful design and also creating that really cool vintage look, that rusty patina look. So that's the red. It's kind of looking brown. I think I have a little bit of brown still here. And I'm going to continue doing this over here. And since it's so soft, it's really easy to work with. It's even easier than the other waxes. It's, I think, softer than the other waxes. So look at the beautiful vintage effect that you can do. So it's a little bit easier than working with the rust paste. You don't get the texture like the rust paste, but you get to have that look. And it's good because if I'm doing this on an art journal page, you can do this on a canvas, on a mixed media project, on any type of project. So now, as you can see, I'm going in here. Like I said before, I was going to kind of cover that redness there, so it kind of looks like it's part of the page. Just want to cover the stenciled area as well, and look how pretty that looks. So it's really cool because it creates that beautiful vintage look. So you can still see the beautiful design of the tissue paper, but now it looks like really vintage. Now I want to add a little bit of the brown, mainly at the edges, because I want them to be a little bit darker. I'm not going to add it everywhere, because otherwise it's going to be all dark everywhere. Okay, so I might add a little bit more of the darkness part here, and if this gets stained, you can just wipe it off, but it's metal, so it's not really going to stay on. So now that I added a little bit of the brown, I'm going to add a little bit of the patina, and this is where things come to life. And the mixture of the two of them together looks really, really nice. So I definitely love the look of patina. And what I'm going to do is that here in the center, I'm going to really emphasize the patina look. So it will be kind of vintage everywhere, and it looks like an oxidized page. That works as well. And you can go back and forth between things. I'm thinking to actually use a little bit of the white as well. And let me show you what I mean. I want to add some highlights here. There we go. You see how I'm adding the highlights? I didn't think I was going to do that, but I think everything became so dark that adding these white highlights just on the stenciled area will really help. And I'm using my finger because I don't want it to go everywhere. Isn't it pretty? Wow. I really like how it's turning out. I'm gonna I think I'm going to add some at the edges as well, because you can't see that, but anywhere there is texture, it just looks really cool. The last thing I want to add for the background is a little bit of this vintage gold wax. I think this will add like the beautiful highlights that will make it shine, and that helps the final the final product. To create the focal point for my art journaling page, I decided that I'm going to use shrink film. This is a Grafix shrink film in gold. Grafix has them in different colors like white and also a colorful pack, and then it has a pack that has gold and silver. And I'm really excited to use the gold one because I know that it will look really nice with my vintage layout. I'm also using my flower foam stamp to create a design on this shrink film. You can also draw or cut your own design. It's up to you, but I really wanted to do this with the shrink film. I'm going to use some archival ink to basically stamp this. And just press on all of it everywhere. I'm going to do it again. I want to have a few of these flowers because they will match perfectly with my vintage layout. The flowers are very similar to that. So you can take any type of stamp. I'm just using my stamp because I just love this one. And I'm just going to stamp 3 of them. Now you have to be very careful. You make sure that it's fully dry before you touch it, because otherwise you're going to smudge it. There we go. Perfect. It gives a beautiful impression. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around the flowers. Now that I've cut around them, I'm going to shrink them, and I will do one at a time. And usually I know the graphics people say to put it in an oven, but truthfully I like doing it with my heat tool. I'm going to test to see how it works. And it's working beautifully. The gold is beautiful. I just have to turn it around to do it from all sides so it shrinks evenly. I love what happens to it. And I always say this with all the shrink films, make sure you dry it up till the end. You shrink it till the end. We might have to open it up a little bit so it doesn't stick, but it does open up after you finish shrinking it. As you can see, it's opening up right now, and you can always turn it around to flatten it from the other side. I'm using these silicone tip tweezers so that way I don't get burnt. Beautiful. Okay, here, look. I have to let it dry, but look how pretty that is. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other 2 off camera. As I'm shrinking my second one, I realized that I wanted to say something. I need these embellishments to be flat because they need to fit into my art journal. But if you want them to be curved and use them as embellishments on a card, scrapbooking, or on outside of a journal cover, then you can mold them to make it look like a real flower. Right now I want them flat, but as you can see, when I'm working with them, you can actually mold it to create the shape that you want of the flower. So that's a good tip to know. But I continue going because I really want this to be flat. You can use molding materials like a bone folder or other things to kind of shape the petals. But as I said, I need them flat because I need to put them in my art journal. And otherwise it will be too thick. While the flour is still hot, so basically when I'm heating it, I can use something like the bone folder to kind of create and fold the petals because they're so soft. So right now it's heated. So they're so soft that I can actually curl them if I want to, okay? Like you see how I can curl things, but right now I want them flat. So I'm going to strain them up as much as I can. So if you see that they're too curled, just heat them up, heat up the plastic a little bit, and then just use something to flatten it. So I'm just using basically my stamp here to just flatten everything. That's good. Okay, now going back to the page, I have my 3 flowers, and what I thought is to add something in the middle. So first I thought, oh, I could add like a few like pearls or embellishments, but then of course I'm Finnabair mode, so I thought, wait a second, what if I add something more vintage like these? So I think these are so cute, and I want to add, these are mechanical embellishments, mini hardware. 1, 2, 3. This might make the page really thick, but oh well. Okay, so, but then I thought, okay, these flowers look weird just being there on their own. What if I had a little vase that could be here at the bottom to create that focal point? So I'm going to go back to my shrink film, and I'm actually going to make one and draw one. So I'm taking just a Sharpie marker because again it's alcohol based, and let's see how good of a drawer am I. So I guess this was the I probably need to make it really big because it's going to shrink, right? The other thing you could do is trace it from like or there is some film that you can actually print it on an inkjet. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you know, I'm not a perfectionist kind of person, but we want to give it some volume. Okay. Oh, okay. It doesn't look as nice as I imagined it. It's a bit on the crooked side. I just want it as a vase. I always emphasize that art journals don't have to be perfect. They just have to be how you express yourself in your art. And if you do want that perfectionism, then go ahead and print something out. I didn't mind. Okay, so now let's shrink this. And what I like about the shrink parts of it is that they become hard, so they are actually like a real embellishment. Let's see if the vase is big enough. If not, I'll just do another one. Okay, so let's see if it's small. It's too small. It looks beautiful. I love how it looks. Okay, so that's pretty good. So I have the flowers. Now my bouquet could have other things as well. I'm thinking my idea is to maybe put like little gears or cogs. Let's see. I'm going to put the smaller ones just because I don't want, otherwise this page is going to be super heavy. So how cute is that? It would have been cute if I ever put a cog in the middle. You know what? Maybe I'll put the cog in the middle. I like these, but they're very thick. I don't know if you can see the thickness of these. They're very thick, so they're going to raise my page too much. So maybe I'll put the cogs in the middle. And then I'll just do like these as flowers as well. So let's put this cog over here. Yeah, that looks so cool. All right, so this is my bouquet of flowers, and now I'm going to glue everything. I'm going to use some 3D matte gel to glue all the embellishments. I do know this page is going to be heavy. Truthfully, I wasn't planning it to be heavy, but then I felt like it was missing some kind of focal point, so it turned into this afterwards. So all I'm going to do is just basically add the gel onto the back of the embellishments. All of these are heavy enough that they need this 3D gel. You could use the heavy gel as well, but I don't want to use it because it's glossy, and I want to keep everything as matte as possible. And it's hard not to get those blobs in the back, but I can just use something to pull that, to clean that out. You'll see what I mean in a second. And I'm going to let this air dry. I mean, I could heat set it, but I have to go run some errands anyway, so I'm just going to let this dry. So basically what I'm going to do now is just grab a paintbrush and just clean the edges around it. Because this is matte gel, it will dry transparent, so you will not see it, and it will not be glossy. So even you see it white now right now, it will not be that color once it's dried. So I'm just removing kind of the blobs in between. So just keep a brush handy for this purpose. It could be a small brush because that way you can really get into the little grooves of things. And even if you do have a blob, it will dry up matte. So that's why I like using the matte one and not the glossy or because the heavy gel one is also a bit glossy. So yeah, it might not stick as quickly as the heavy gel one, but at least it won't shine because everything that I've used so far today is matte. Okay, so now I have like the flower arrangement. I think I can maybe move some things around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the stems. So it actually looks like an actual flower arrangement, like a vase. Isn't that cool? I love how it turned out. And so this is not in the air. Let's make a little thing at the floor for it. I'd like a little table. There we go. You could also use a little bit of stamping and just create a little bit of texture here at the bottom. Then we'll make it look like an actual tablecloth. So it created a very like vintage look, and yeah, that's cool. I really like how that turned out. I was more impressed than I thought. I just thought this was going nowhere. So this is sometimes that happens with projects that you think like, uh-oh, they're like not sure where this is going, but then it turns out really beautiful. I mean, you can still see the white, and I'm trying to just clean well around it because it's not fully dry, but I'm telling you that will disappear once it's dried. And I'm going to let this, as I said, dry fully before anything else. Okay, there we go. How cool is that? So I have the designs that I made myself, and I can still probably add some. And then there is the flowers that I created with the shrink film. And then there is all the mechanicals that you can just do anything with. Now, the last thing it needs is a sentiment, and I think this was the perfect one. Perfection is overrated, because truly this was an imperfect layout that I thought would go nowhere, and I made a lot of mistakes, as you can see, but I really like how it turned out. So I have to use this because it really is, and I'm actually going to cover the area where I think perfection, where it was the imperfection, because perfection is overrated. I did not mean it to get all dark there at the bottom, and you know, like things didn't come out perfectly, but that's okay. I just love the way it came out, and I am happy with the results. I might have to put a little bit of glue behind this one word that is not sticking. Maybe I'll just go around with this as well. Okay, so that's my layout, and I'm going to wait until it dries so I can photograph it and you can really see the final result. Okay, so now that it's dry, you can see that you don't see the gel at all. And I'm going to take a little bit of the gold and just add it on top of some of these embellishments to just kind of add a little bit of highlights onto them. And then the last thing I want to do is just want to take the same marker and I want to kind of add a little bit of an outline to the flower. I feel like it looks like the flower is not closed. I decided to go a little bit back with the patina color and added a little bit on this, just because I figured it would give it a little bit of life and color, and I felt that that was missing. The colors had dulled out a little bit, so I figured if I add a little bit of this patina color, it will look so much more alive. So I just went ahead and just added it just in some places in the borders, so that way it would really not match really nicely with the gold colors. So I hope you like my video today. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on social media. I really tried to make this look like a vintage vase sitting on a table with the vintage wallpaper in the background. That's why I wanted to add a little bit more of the patina here and in some other areas of the project. So I hope you enjoy this and all the different techniques that I had on this art journal page. And thank you so much and have an amazing day, everyone. Bye.